All right. What's going on, guys? It is Monday, March 6th, 2023. Hopefully that wasn't too loud in my voice there. But it's Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope everybody had an amazing and restorative and an awesome weekend. Let's go ahead and dive on in. I haven't really taken too much of a look at anything yet, but let's do it. Boop. All right. Market making new highs today. Again, 4,078. So we are running up quite a bit. This last week or so. Looks like today we're going to be having bounces off of the. You can see we had several bounces around the 50 EMA and rejections along the upper band of the VWAP. Right now, we got this little micro sort of cup and handle right here on some TTM cooling. Let's take a look at the 3-minute chart. 3-minute has ran all the way up over $100, $104 since last night. No, this is, where's the date on this thing? Sorry. $100 since March 2nd. I wish the dates were a little bit more prevalent on this. Like, I can see them, but also, like, I'm dealing with that brain injury thing, too. So sometimes that can get a little frustrating. Anywho, so on the 3-minute chart, so in the last week, we've ran up $100. Zooming in a little bit closer here. And see where we're looking for some opportunity. I'm gonna look for a bounce off 75. This is a little feeler trade. I'm gonna cut that. I might actually be in a trade right now and don't know it. Okay, so we pull back to like 75. I'm looking for the bounce off 75. See if I can actually get an entry. Entered long at 75. Looking to get out at 76. I don't love that this is cooling on the TTM on the 1-minute side. And we are kind of like seemingly approaching the end of this move. But nonetheless, I do still think there's an opportunity for a little scalp trade here. I feel kind of like out of breath and like stuffed up today. My kid's been sick. I hope I'm not getting sick too. I dropped this down one tick. Didn't fill me, just kind of ran past me. I'm just gonna try to cut that and take the profit at the market order. See where that actually ends up cutting me. Why did that cancel the sell order? Oh. You'd think that market orders would be like immediate, but they don't really seem to be sometimes. Hey, we made 75 on that after watching that market order bounce around for about 30 seconds. My Thinkorswim login looked totally different today. I'm sure everybody else saw that as well. All right, so we are getting a little bit of fall over there. I'm tempted to take a short down to the 35. I think I'll give it a whirl. See if I can enter short off 74. I'll have to actually be able to get a fill in order to make that happen. I mean, honestly, it looks like he's going to bounce, but I'm going to go with the short anyway. Why can't I get filled on anything? Here we go. I got a short at 74 and a quarter. I'm looking to get out at 73 and a quarter. But I might keep this tight and just take 2 ticks. There's that bounce. We were in profit for a second, but I don't think we hit our sell order on that one, or our buy order, I should say. Just looking for 2 ticks down. But like I said, there's the pop potential here. Ready to cut this. Yeah, I'm out. That's what I was worried it would do. It's so hard to just exit an order, man. These updates I gotta get this like in order. What up, Tiny? Yeah, I did see that we did get some new subscribers in here. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We love and appreciate all of our new subscribers, as well as our existing subscribers. We're 1 away from hitting 330. Just 1 second, y'all. I'm just gonna mute out here for a moment. Just alrighty, we is back. I like having a mute on my microphone. It's just like 1 button. It seems a little sideways and slow right now. One for 8 ticks long off of 75 and a half. So the idea here is that we're gonna get another rip up towards the VWAP here before falling down, or the upper band of the VWAP, I should say, before falling down. So that's the concept here. I'm going for 8 ticks, which is the very peak of this candle here. I don't know if it's a little overly aggressive, but that's sort of the concept of this trade. You can see that the 9 and 12 are very close to a fall down as well. So this does present a reasonable amount of risk. I decided to take this trade based off the TTM here, as well as some of the stuff that I've seen over the last month and a half or so, where I've been watching these, where it looks like it's going to fall down. The moving averages say that it's going to fall down, then it rips up, and then we reset all over again. And so that's kind of what the concept is behind this trade. And the exit points, I'm not sure if I want to drop that down slightly. I might drop it 2 ticks down to like right here, where it's at that resistance level. So this is playing out as the concept that I envisioned. And I think it will drop down those 2 ticks that I mentioned. Okay, that puts us back into profit on the day from that little loss that we took here. It looks like it may actually play out all the way. But that was the concept of that trade. Looks like it was the right concept. Bing, bing, bing. Taken 3 trades so far, and I'm only up 37.50. Feel like going slow today is probably going to be the way to go. But I think that I have room for 5 ticks seems really reasonable. 4 seems too small. 6 seems too inconsistent. TTM moving up slightly, very slowly, from 0.4 to 0.6 to 0.7, now 0.8, dropping back down to 0.7. So if this happens to get like a move that looks a little bit more like this, where you can see it was like kind of doing what it's doing right now, but then it jumped to like 1.5, then we'll be looking at going long pretty heavily for a swing move like that. Since we're already near the upper bands of the VWAP though, there it is. Yeah, this exact thing has been happening for like 6 weeks, where it looks like it's about to fall back down, and then we have this big rip up right to the upper band. And it seems like that's going to be the name of the game today, is how long will we ride along the upper band of the VWAP, and then are we going to continue to get little drops off of it like this drop here, or dropped all the way down, pushing past 40.80. I didn't even take a look at the economic calendar today, so I'm probably going to take a look at that here in a minute. 0.8 to 1.4, 1.5-ish. See if we can get an entry off of 80. Might be a little too aggressive for an entry point. Tapped 80 for a second. I'm just going to join the bid. Nope, we pulled all the way back to 80. Chasing this thing around. Let me in. Got in, entered at 80 by whatever means. 1.5 to 1.9 on the TTM. Taking this trade based off TTM momentum. Even though we're above the upper band of the VWAP, even though typically we've been falling down off the highs today. So I'm taking this trade based off the TTM, off the fresh new stack on the TTM. I'm looking to get 5 ticks out of it, which would put it up there at 81.25, which is just 1 tick below the high. Pulling back 1 tick now. I think that we may find a little bit of support off 80. New candle coming in at 2.3 on the TTM from 1.9. So we're moving up at a factor of 0.4 per candle at the moment. Again, looking to get out of 81.25. By the way, guys, if you like what you're seeing here, take a moment to like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. And also, too, if you guys are trying to earn funding in the futures market, make sure you guys check out Elite Trader Funding. There is a link in the description and the promo code JSBEST. Had a comment today. How do I place a trade with a small account, a futures trade with a small account? And the answer is Elite Trader Funding. The answer is to use a prop firm that can help you get access to capital so that you can actually trade the way you want to and earn the profits that you're attempting to seek at a much higher level. So check them out. There's a link in the description. There's also a promo code in there, JSBEST, that you guys can use to lock in a lifetime discount. I'm going to reduce this sell order down to just 80.5 and look for 2 ticks on it. Just simply because I was kind of hoping this would play out a little bit faster, more like a 1 minute candle to make a new high. I'm also seeing some leveling off on the TTM. So I'm going to look to get out with a little micro profit. If we drop much more than this, then I will just look to cut it. There's the drop, so I'm going to look for the cut. $2.2 to 2.3 on the TTM. Yeah, I'm going to cut that. So it's just wherever it lets us out now. Since TOS has this really long lag, especially with market orders. I don't know why, but it really is pretty frustrating, honestly. Moving from 2.2 to 2.3 to 2.3, you can see that this market order has been bouncing around here for a good 30-40 seconds. In a real-life trading scenario, that could kill your account, but it's also really rare in a real-life trading scenario. Gratefully, it let us out before this big drop, but it still didn't let us out when we first hit it, which was way up here at 79, and it ended up letting us out almost 4 ticks below that, which is a lot of money and could kill an account very fast. So something to note here on the TTM. So we had this big spike followed by this big drop, right? But the chart didn't drop subsequently with it. And so it kind of leveled off, gave us another spike. Now we're leveling off again, but you can see that this spike is significantly smaller than this spike. So what this kind of tells me is that we are working on the approach of the end of this move. At the top of the hour in about 10 minutes, we may look for a falling down, maybe back towards the 35 or possibly the 50. I don't think that we're going to fall down to the VWAP at that time, which is all the way down here at 40.60. But around 8 o'clock, we may fall down to around the 50 and then likely get some bounces off of that. We did fall down to the 26. All it does is grind higher. Yeah, like that's basically where we've been for the last 6 weeks or so, where we've just been grinding higher and higher until we finally get a dump. Wow, that sounds terrible. So we finally get a drop down on the chart. And then some consolidation, and then it does it all over again. And we definitely have some weakish movement here on the TTM. 1.9 down to 1.6, down to 1.3. You guys know that what I actually really like to trade though is like these kind of moves, these like red yellows, or these like high momentum moves. You guys know that that's what I actually like to trade. When it's grinding like this and just sort of choppy sideways with these little rips. It can be quite the psychological game. Today feels like micro scalp day. This honestly looks like it's gonna short down to like 73. Nine still above the 12 though. TTM still in positive area. Slow moving today. Still gonna go for that profit target of 1500 though. Normally by this time we've already hit it. I'm gonna be excited to get back in the evaluation. Which, by the way, guys, the evaluation, like, if you guys don't already know, Elite Trader Funding, these guys are, like, in my opinion, the best in the biz. There's a link in the description with promo code JSBEST to lock in a lifetime discount. But, I mean, you can get access to 50K for less than 165 bucks. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I've taken a look at a lot of different prop firms out there. I've actually worked with a few of them. I like these guys the best. I think they're the easiest to work with as a company. Like the actual people there, and then also they're one of the only ones I've ever seen with the Discord community, and then they're also one of the only ones I've seen that allow you to use multiple trading softwares. So personally, I'm working on the 50K evaluation, or I will be once it resets here in a couple of days, and then I'm also working on the static 100K evaluation. So those are the two that I'm working on. My intention with this is eventually to set up 20 different evaluations, and after setting up 20 different evaluations, trade in all 20 at the same time, using like a copy trader function that can be accessed through like Trade-Evade. I'm gonna take a short here. Looking for a very small short down. 9 just dipped below the 12, so that was the sort of the indicator of that. It could just bounce right here, and I hope it doesn't, but did come down, tap our sell order. There it is. So definitely, guys, check out Elite Trader Funding. In my own personal opinion, they are the best in the biz. They do offer multiple trading softwares that they provide. It's actually quite rare to see that. So yeah, guys, check them out. But that's my intention, is to get 20 accounts, 20 evaluations, trade them all at the same time. That's the maximum amount of accounts that you can have per login with Elite Trader. So getting a bounce off the EMA 35. 9's currently above the 12, but I'm gonna take this long here anyway. Even though the TTM looks weak. I'm looking for a 2-tick scalp to the upside. Saying these very micro moves. I think that's the game plan for the day. What EMAs do I use? Let me show you. What's good, Pawn? Good to see you. I will put these EMAs up here in a moment. I was just thinking bearish, but thinking might push up here. Yeah, Pawn, that's also what I'm thinking. Like, it feels like bearish. It honestly does, considering that, like, there's so much, like, we've been so top heavy for so long that it honestly feels like it needs to pull back. But we, like our member mentioned, you know, it just continues to grind higher, and we've seen it do that for a lot of the month. Now, as far as the EMAs that I use, is that the one that I put up? Yeah. As far as the EMAs that I use, I've got the 9 EMA, which is this yellow line. I've got the 12 EMA, which is the cyan line. We're actually getting a little bit of momentum there. I've got the EMA 35, which I often use for bounce moves, which you can see did it right there. And then I've got the EMA 50, which I also use for bounce moves as well, but I also use it in conjunction with the 52 with the 200 simple moving average right here. And here's why. So here you can see the 50. I'm gonna zoom in on it. You can see the 50, the green line, and the 200, the red line. The 200 is a simple, the 50 is the exponential. But you can see that the crossover right there at 4,000, what is that? 4,050 basically. Pretty much indicated this entire move. So this is why I use this 5200 cross, is because it's an incredibly accurate trading strategy to more or less enter along the 50 and then see this right up and take your profits along the way, or take it, as this 200 begins to cross above the 50 again, which is how that would work with a bot trading scenario. You would essentially have it enter here and then have it have a take profit, or have the take profit be at the next crossover point to the downside. But that's the moving averages that I use. And then this purple line here, along with this line, this is volume weighted average price. So this bottom, this purple, and this top, you can see when I run over it, it highlights all three. That's because it's actually one indicator. There's volume weighted average price with the upper band and the lower band. I like the upper band and the lower band because you can see how well it rejects and supports on either side. TTM going red, but getting a bounce off the EMA 50 right there. Again, that's the other reason why I use the 50, is because you can take bounce moves like this. What I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that the 9 has now dipped below the 12. We also got a 1226 crossover. This white one here, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. That's a 26 simple moving average, and we use that in conjunction with the 12 EMA as a crossover indicator for upward or downward momentum. So those are the moving averages that I use. Hopefully that answers some questions. Back booking bearish. Yeah, I think it looks bearish now at this point. By the way, y'all, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. It really does help. Let's see, 1.0 to 1.6, now to 2.0 in the TTM. We're going to have to see if this bounces here along the 50. If we can get below the 50, then I'll start looking at taking shorts. This does look like, as far as the moving averages go, as far as the TTM goes, everything is looking bearish to me now at this point. So I do think that we're going to see a drop. The question is whether or not it ends up holding support on this 50 EMA, which I've seen this happen before. So what I'm going to be waiting for is either a drop below the 50 EMA and then start looking at switching to short trading strategies, or if this holds support and we get a red to yellow candle here on the TTM, then we'll be looking at going long again. But this is kind of the last line in the sand, in my opinion. Based off moving averages alone. That doesn't include any sort of technical analysis here, but on tech analysis, it actually lines up with the 50, so we don't really have to do it. It's another reason why I like these moving averages. They do a lot of the tech analysis for me, and so a lot of times I could just rely on them as support and resistance. That just works really well on their own. It's looking much more like a drop. There we go. Okay. Gonna look for an entry. Oh. TTM going from 2.2 to 2.8. on that drop, which is why I was going to take that entry. But you can see leveling off here immediately. A lot of those shorts filling in. You can see we had 3 high profile, like high sell candles for the last 3 candles. But now we're getting a lot of those, a lot of buy momentum here on this particular one. I'm going to just scale this bulls bears so it's a little bit more viewable. Resistance there at the EMA 35 along the 26, or sorry, along the 12 and the 9. Leveling off in the TTM. Again, I'll be looking for that red yellow move if that's the case. And if that is the case, we're going for 8 ticks. That should give us a reasonable amount of momentum if that happens on here. 3.0 to 3.1. Very much leveled off here. I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to take the swing at 75 as the entry. If it'll fill me. It's not. Gosh, man. I feel like I'm missing moves just because this thing just won't fill me. It gets frustrating, like really frustrating. Like even if I hit buy and sell market, it still skips me. Finally. All right, so we got to enter at 75.50. This was really the move that I was trying to take advantage of, but I do think that the move will potentially continue. Kind of leveling off on the TTM there. That was the move that I was trying to take. Man, that gets frustrating. I do think that we're going to see a bit of a pop here, though. 2.9 to 2.8 on the TTM. Possible crossover in 1226. This would be the bounce of the EMA 50 that I was describing. Another reason why we use the EMA 50. Every moving average that I have on here has several strategies attached to it. And I think that having a lot of those strategies in my toolkit, to me, makes me feel like a more diverse trader. It makes it feel like I can trade in different market conditions pretty reasonably well. And I like having that sort of variety available to me. Came up and tapped my sell order, but no fill. 2.7 to 2.2. I might cut this, just take the profit if it'll let me. Trying to get out. Come on. So it's on my sell order. The bid is on my sell order currently. When you do the evaluation, this doesn't happen. It just fills you. You can see it actually moved past my sell order. Still no fill. I'd really like it if this thing would fill, because it's like way past. Look at that. Like, look how far past this we are. Let me out, dude. TOS is experiencing intense lag. Whole minutes of lag. The That's insanity, man. Up 187.50 on the day. That's incredible, man. Yeah, the trade was a good trade, and the trade ended up working out. But with the with the lag that's there, the lag there is absolute, like, it's intense. Like, whole minutes before it's letting me out of trades, which could make or break an account. You know what I mean? Just got stopped out of your short pawn. Yeah, I think you were right. I think 40.74 was the line in the sand. I think you're absolutely correct there. Yeah, I think that's about the sim not filling me. TD Ameritrade got bought by Charles Schwab last year or so, and they bought them. One of the main reasons why they purchased TD Ameritrade was so that they could own this software. Because this software accounts for a lot of retail traders. A lot of retail traders use Thinkorswim, and they're going to want to continue to use Thinkorswim. And so that's one of the reasons why they purchased them. And I just don't know if they're. I think that they're transitioning to owning this software and doing like server updates and other things like that. But I don't know like how much they're gonna. You know how it goes when companies like work on software that they purchase. There's always a bunch of transition. A lot of times it'll be terrible for a while before it gets better again. We have some really nice looking moves here. This looks like it's gonna rip all the way up to like 82. We'll look for an entry off of 79, which I may have already missed. We've got a cyan switch here. This is running up great. Entered off 79. Looking to get out at 81. May have some pullback to like the 9 EMA. Hopefully, actually, if it goes down to the 9 EMA, I'll cut this thing. There's literally the 9 EMA right there. So I guess I gotta cut it. It's really if this candle actually closes higher than the open here. So this opened at 77.75. So this candle here, I think, needs to close at 78 or higher. But this is just like what my hope is here is that this is a 1 minute pullback before the rip. We have 20 seconds left in this candle. So I'll hold it. Provided that it stays above this 9 EMA, I'll hold this. Right now, the trade is about a 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to want to see this candle go green and end above 79. I want to see this one end above 80. Or like end at 80 or above. 0.4 to 1.0 on the GTM. Movement at about 0.6. We go, nice little 1 minute candle. And then we're going to want to see this 1 minute candle make a new high. So 80 and a quarter or higher is really what we want off that one. I definitely could have got a better entry on the pullback, and that's really where I should have looked for the entry. My concern, though, was that it was just going to rip up past this on the next candle, which I've seen it do a lot of times. So, but this ended up following a more traditional pattern with the 1 minute pullback, followed by the rip. We did end higher than this one, which is good. GTM going from 1.1 to 1.6, looking good there. Just gotta wait. And a hammer candle here. The 9 is above the 12, which is what we want to see. We just recently got a 1226 crossover. TTM looks good. All of our bullish indicators are in line for another test of the upper band of the VWAP. Upper band of the VWAP is currently at. Let me adjust this chart a little bit. Upper band is currently up here at 82.5, and our previous high is 81.5. So I think we do have opportunity to actually come up here and rip above the VWAP. Each time that we got these momentum swings like this, we popped above the upper band of the VWAP. Happened back here. It's basically been happening all day. Here, 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 and now we're looking for it to do it again. So you look at the TTM, 1.6 to 1.1 to 1.5 to 1.7. I know some leveling off there. I don't trust this trade as much now. I'm gonna reduce. I probably just need to cut though. Putting in a blue candle. Painting 2 blues. To see if this one gets back above cyan. Visual impairment starting to hit me. I think I got enough sleep. So what happens is, so when the visual impairment comes in, sometimes like it's always there, but sometimes it'll come in like this like wave where there's just like this empty hole in the middle of my vision, and I'll literally just go blind like directly in the center of my vision. And that can happen from time to time, like if I'm not hydrated enough, or if I don't get enough sleep. So there's just other things that can cause it to happen. This looks like this is gonna put in a nice bounce here. This little pullback. I think a lot of people are gonna be entering in along this pullback here. I think that we'll see this push up. Moving from 1.7 to 2.1 of the TTM. What was the breakdown point for the head and shoulders? Let's see. Bids kept coming into 40.74. That's what I noticed. Yeah. Coming up, test 80. 80 is where my exit point is. I think we'll see a run up to 82. Some sells coming in though. There on the bid. Or on the bid. Some sells coming in on the bulls pairs. What I meant to say. $2.2 to 2.5 on the TTM. We definitely could have got a much better entry. And I think today I've been really kind of struggling on getting entries, not just because of the platform itself, but also because of the sideways action. So the determining the entry level or the entry point has been a little challenging for me. I reduced the order on this down to just 2 ticks. Mainly because this should have been our breakout right here, and it didn't happen. Also, I can see the, let's see. 35 is getting above 26, though, so that looks good for a longer-term move. If I get out here, I can just get back in. So I'm just looking for that just to fill. TTM going from 2.4 to 2.4, and I love it. I might just cut it and take the loss. It's too long to be in a trade for me, honestly. Slow going today. $2.5 now to 2.7 on TTM. Trade let us out at 79.50. Made a little tiny micro profit on that. Pulling the chart back. Really just kind of waiting for that head and shoulders to eventually come in, but with the grind up, it's pretty slow. 200 simple moving average crossed above the volume weighted average price. That does typically indicate that over some length of time that we're gonna eventually get a drop down here. We're currently coming up on 8:30, and so being as that's the case, I'm gonna estimate this drop here is gonna be closer to 9:30, maybe 9, potentially at 8:30, but I think it's gonna be closer to 9 on pass, probably 9 to 9:30. There's that rip up. Finally, it grinded out there for 15 minutes almost, it seemed. Where was our entry? Our entry was like right here. There's that new rip. Like I said, move up to 82. There it is. It just happened to be a 12-minute trade. That's how long that took. So probably should have just stuck in it. But honestly, like after 12 minutes of flopping around and not going anywhere, it can just get a little nerve-wracking, if you will. If not nerve-wracking, just kind of frustrating at a certain point. Refill time. By the way, if y'all chilling, hanging out, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. It really does make a pretty big difference to the channel. We're up at 329 subscribers. Can we hit 330? And then onward to 400. TTM on the 5-minute chart looking like 9.1 to 9.1, getting a little bit of a cyan candle. Now coming in at 9.2. You're definitely correct off of 4074. Last 20 minutes has been going upward, grinding slowly. Pulling back to 78.5. Here at 820. Three minutes looking like a fall down. I guess what I might start looking for now is I might actually start looking for the 9 EMA to cross below the 12 on the 3-minute chart, or possibly a blue to red on the 3-minute chart. 2.4 to 1.7 on the TTM3. Excuse me. This is looking more like our Head and Shoulders now. Big sell order, big sell volume coming in. Gonna look to go short off 78. I'm looking for a move down towards the EMA 50. Let me actually put this up slightly. Because currently my exit is at 76 and a quarter. I'm gonna bump that up to 77 and go for 5 ticks. One second, y'all. I will be right back. Stay tuned. All right, we back. Looks like we got that short. It's 5 ticks. Up 562.50 on the day. Slow moving day. Head and Shoulders starting to play out. Starting to get the drop down. Finally. Rip and dip. Today is your frustration. I don't know. I mean, as far as calling it a bull trap, I mean, I don't know. I think Pond called this, and I think it's something that we've been talking about. But the moving averages needed to work their way up, honestly. And now the moving averages are. This fall came a lot faster than I thought it would. But still here. Watch out for this coming back up towards the 50 EMA. We may bounce here, as I've seen it happen. So that we're right down here at 75, which may act as support. 74, 75 zone. This area may act as support. Acted as support several times. So we do have a red candle on the CCM, but we may actually get a bounce here before we get the official trend reversal, which may come in a little bit later. That was a pretty fast and heavy drop there. I think 75 area is our line in the sand. Maybe 74, 75. We may get another move that looks just like this. The difference being is that this one had the 50 EMA to bounce off of. Now we have to have 75 hold the support, which is not running with any particular moving average below it. So our next moving average below that is a 200 simple, which is down here, down here at 66. So because the 200 is so far away from the 50, that's the only real thing that's kind of like making me think that this may go for a little bit longer before this drop actually happens. But nonetheless, I do think that it's going to be a little bit before we get this drop. Like I said, we may get bounces here. Could be wrong. Could just drop down. It's just whether or not 75 holds as support. That's kind of the question. Got a doji on the bottom of that. A lot of times that doji at the bottom of a move can indicate a bounce as well. Same with the doji at the top of a move can indicate a drop. Pulling back to 74. TTM going from 0.8 to 1.7 to 2.4. We're up 562.50 on the day. About $1,000 below our goal. And it took us a lot of trades to get here. 27 contracts. Puts us at 117 in fees. Bring us up 444.78 on the day at the moment. Drop below 75. There's that break of the resistance. Or break of the support, I should say. Going from 1.7 to 2.7 on the TTM. That's a pretty hefty momentum there. Now we'll see if 70 holds support. Just going to extend these just so that we can measure them against the other part of the chart. So, for me to take a bounce move here, I'm going to want to see a red to yellow happen, much like this one here. Very, very much the exact same strategy. So that's if this does actually play out. Honestly, the chart looks more like it's going to drop to me, but if we do get a bounce here, I'm going to be looking for a red to yellow in order to go long. It looks more like bearish action since we dropped below that 200 or that 50 moving average. But we're in between the 50 and the 200 here. It can go either way. I've seen it go both ways when it's in between this zone, which is why I'm not like rah on the short right now. Plus, if you guys know, I'm typically a long base trader most of the time. Long bias. That doesn't mean I don't take shorts. It's just, you know, I'm typically just long bias a lot of the time. I think it's probably just I learned trading long mostly, and that's like where the closer areas to my mastery is. I would never call myself necessarily a master of trading, but that's been the area that I pursued mastery. 2.6 to 3.4 to 3.9. Now going to 4.3 on the TTM. Tiny little bounce there off 72. Like I said, I can't take that trade though until we get a red to yellow switch. So no trade right now for me in terms of my strat. How y'all doing, by the way? You guys red? You green? Yeah, this is the area I was looking at too. Same spot. Short biased. Yeah. I also try to stay neutral as well, but I mean, it doesn't always work. I mean, sometimes like I'll end up just going long over and over again on a day that I should have just been going short over and over again. And vice versa. I've had days where I went short over and over and I should have just been going long. And it's just because a lot of the time the chart patterns just don't play out exactly as you think that they will. 3.9 to 4.2 to 4.6. Looking like a little bit more downward momentum coming in. Just adjusting this bulls bears to be scaled for the volume that we're actually using, like that we're actually seeing right now. So that's a little bit easier to see. Looks like 72 is kind of acting as support. .2 to 4.6 to 5.0 on the TTM. We're looking for this to essentially switch red to yellow. And then we'll go long up to about the 50 EMA, which is there at 75. That'd be a 12 tick move. So I'm going to go for 5. Roughly half the move, slightly less than half. 4.6 to 5.0. A lot of buy volume coming in here, in between buy and sell at the moment. 5.0 to 5.2. It does look like the support may hold. Went long off 72.50. I'm looking for a move up to this 12 EMA right here. Went from 5.0 to 5.2. I wondered if I took this trade here as somewhat of a boredom trade. I might have. Like now that I'm in it. 5.0 to 5.2. But there was a couple of things that I was seeing. Number one, I'm seeing the TTM leveling off. Number two, I'm seeing a lot of buy volume come in here on the bulls bears. Try to use this more frequently to sort of measure that stuff. And number three, we've been holding support along 72 for quite a while now. There's a yellow on the TTM. Went from 5.1 to 5.1, so the yellow is still pretty flat right now, so it could still go either way. Tiny little rejection there off the 9 EMA. Our entry is at 72.5. This could be the breakdown point or the breakout point. I'll just call it the break point. 5.19, or let's see, 5.19 to 5.13. Basically flat right now on the TTM, but a reasonable amount of buy volume versus sell volume on the bulls bears at the moment. Little Mario candle there. As long as this one closes higher than the last one, I think that will be okay. Possible crossover the 1226. We did get that trade. Now we're up 750. We're halfway to our goal today. Kind of challenging trading today. 5.0 to 4.8. Took me a little while to find my momentum though. So we did get that bounce off 72. 5.0 to 4.7 on the TTM. We did pull up to almost 75. 75 was the area that I'm saying is the line in the sand at the moment. Number one, because it's acted as support and resistance several times today. Number two, the 50 EMA is right here at 75.25. So the 50 EMA may also act as resistance as well, since we're below it. The next thing that I'm going to want to see in order to confirm continued long bias would be this 9 EMA getting above the 12 EMA, and I think that'll look really good for long move. Additionally, not required but helpful would be getting above 75. So getting above 75 would also communicate a psychological resistance point to a lot of different traders around the world, and so we may see a lot of buy volume there if we can get above 75. Rejecting off of 75 and rejecting off of that the EMA 50, which is the exact thing that I said may happen, which is why we try to get out lower than above here at 75. Number one, because we've been having platform issues, And number two, which actually was one of the main reasons why. And number two was because I'm not looking to take all of the meat off the bone, although that's nice. It's more safe and accurate to me, like if I can get the range of the move, not necessarily the lowest entry point and the highest exit point. Because at some point it begins to communicate greed, and through communicating greed with your own self, you have a higher likelihood of taking riskier and riskier things, and especially if it works out for you, and a higher likelihood of dealing with massive, intense loss as well. So, so when greed begins to become a factor, a lot of that is contributed to try and get the absolute lowest entry and the absolute highest maximum exit. Um, to me, it's just easier to stick with my strategy and get consistent profits. That matters more to me than trying to get the biggest moves. 4.7 to 4.5 to 3.9. This is looking good. Possible crossover in 1226. Pretty consistent yellow candles throughout. Like I said, we're waiting for this 9 to cross above this 12. But this is looking pretty good. This may end up forming a pretty large U-shaped pattern. We're approaching 845. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the compliment. I've been working really hard. I feel like I've learned a lot in the last 6 weeks trading through the extremely volatile market, and trading my evaluation through it too was really hard. Um, but I feel like it's taught me a lot from a psychological standpoint of being able to be patient and have a little bit more zen and take time to do my analysis before each trade, instead of trying to jump in and catch something, um, which I wasn't doing before necessarily, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't a degree of that. Also, too, the more consistently that I've been trading this same strategy, the more it's refining itself in a way of like, okay, step one, like trade one is the red to yellow. Trade 2 is the 9 above the 12. Trade 3 is the 12 above the 26. Trade 4 is the cyan switch, like that. And then trade 5 is the continuing momentum off the cyan switch. And then I typically stop trading and wait for the wave pattern to reset. And it's just been kind of like going like that more and more consistently. And that's been making trading more profitable, more consistently, and it's just been a lot easier trading that way. It's kind of a long bias strategy, but it could be done the exact same way in reverse. So it would be like, it would be the blue or the cyan to blue, and then the 9 below the 12, and then the blue to red, and then the 1226, and then the momentum would be the last trade. So it's a 5 trade strategy, I guess. I've never talked about this before. I've never put this out there before. So communicating it, speaking about it, is really useful. I'm gonna have to take a look at the timestamps on this because I actually want to go back and maybe make a video on this. What time is it now? It's like 8:40, and we're about an hour 10 into the stream, so last 5 minutes. I may break this out, take some notes, and then turn this into its own video. I won't clip it from this, though. I'll just make a whole new video for it so that I can get out my thoughts really well. Having trouble at 4075, yeah. I thought 40.75 may end as a resistance zone. What I'm going to be waiting for, and this is exactly like you mentioned about 40.75. This is exactly why on the trade strategy, why I'm looking for the 9 to get above the 12 in order for me to take the next trade in the sequence. And the reason why is because you can see that the TTM is still stacking yellow, but without that 9 getting above 12, I don't have actual confirmation of another move. Even though we are continuing to stack on the TTM, and I do still think it's going to rip based off that, this is only one thing. It's like one data point. If I get this 9 above the 12, then I get that second confirmation of that data point, and I have, a lot more information that is telling me that's going to go up. If that makes sense. A lot of struggle there at 40.75. A lot of resistance, but a lot of support coming in too. As you see, we're not really dropping below 73 either. So we're holding above the 72 line, which sort of acted as support down here. We're holding above 72. We're holding around 73. And something to note is this EMA 35 right here, this blue one, actually just crossed above the 26 simple moving average. Now, if you guys have watched my TTM video from way back, I actually talk about this in that video, where this can sometimes indicate a upward move that is on the way. Not one that's here now, but one that is inbound. Boy, I'm like stuffed up today. Must be those spring allergies. I haven't even like started my garden yet. Probably start my garden in like 2 weeks, I think. All right, so getting a nice little move here. We'll have to see if we get that cyan switch, but this is looking like this is gonna pop. I don't want to take that move though before that 9-12 cross. Even if I miss out, it's okay. I'm not too concerned about it. Even if I miss out on something, I'm not that concerned about it. We are approaching a 26 crossover of the 12. The 35 got a really nice cross there. I'm tempted to take a long here for the potential of the crossover and the potential of the cyan switch. But I'm not going to do it, even though I'm very tempted. So I feel like this is going to rip up. But there are certain things that are preventing me from doing it. Like, number one, this is getting a lot of push down. We do have some red dots on the TTM as well forming. Let's take a look at the TTM momentum numbers. 1.2 to 0.9 to 0.6 to now 0.3. So we're only moving at a factor of about 0.3, which is why this crossover hasn't taken place yet. I think that we're going to get a cyan switch and a crossover all at once. So we may get the cyan switch, the crossover, and the 1226 and run up again. I feel like an entry would be off 73 or 73 and a half. Maybe 73 and a quarter. By the way, guys, if you ever see me click this help button and click collect garbage, what I'm doing here is clearing the cache to help free up memory and help free up help the platform work faster. Possible crossover of 1226. Getting a little micro cyan candle there on the current. I'm gonna wait for the full paint. 9 still below 12. This is why I'm waiting. This could still fail. Even though it looks like it's going to rip, it could still fail. A lot of waiting, a lot of trading is waiting. It's a lot of patience. It's kind of a psychological game a lot of the time. If you guys are chilling, hanging out, though, I'd love it if you guys would. I would love and appreciate if you guys would like and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. I've been having some issues with the brain injury lately. This last like week, I don't know if I'm not getting enough sleep or if it's because my kid's sick and maybe I'm fighting it off. Like I feel like a little under the weather, but not enough to like say that I'm sick. Pulling down a 72. This is why we wait for that 9 above 12. It's for the confirmation of the upward move. Figuring that out, like I only figured that out probably sometime in the last 6 weeks. But figuring that out, I feel like I'm going to be able to take that and apply that information to the evaluation. I feel like it's going to make me trade a lot better. Since we've been applying it here in the sim, we haven't had any red days since then. Which has really only been the last week or so. But I'm pretty sure we haven't had. I'll have to look through the Discord. I should also create like a P&L for the sim. I just don't have one for my sim. I have one for trading stocks. But I just don't have like a. Normally I grab my P&L from here. We are getting a drop down there. This is normally where I grab my P&L. We're getting a drop down there as we approach 9 o'clock. So this is what I was talking about earlier, is that we may see a big drop around 9 and maybe 9:30, where this 200 may actually approach this 50 much more aggressively at that point. A lot of volume on this candle. 4150 contracts traded on that red. And pulling down below 72, now pulling down to 70. We'll have to see if 70 acts as support. Might put in some moves like this one did. Whoops. Slow grinding today. About halfway to our goal in terms of profit, but I'm not going to push when I shouldn't. This looks like it might be one of those big rips down, followed by a big rip up. We'll see. This did dip all the way down to 70 to rip right back up to 72. TCM is kind of flat sideways. There's no trade for me though until this 9 gets above 12. Which is taking a lot longer than I expected it to. But I should say it feels longer. It's not necessarily that it's taking longer, but it feels longer. That drop finally brought you back from red, $60, to green, 252. Nice. Glad to see it, Pawn. Good job, man. Great job on your short. I want to see as many people succeed as I possibly can. Like, I think that, like, one of my great joys in life is just watching other people succeed. I actually really get a lot of fulfillment from that, especially if there's somebody that I was able to help in some way succeed, or if it was like somebody who I know and love, like seeing my people or people that I consider to be my people succeed. I really do. It matters a lot to me, because it's like, man, it's too often that we see people like fail and give up. And the interesting thing is that success is very directly linked to determination and continuing to push forward, even if it seems like it's not gonna happen. You know, it's almost like that determination like unlocks a gateway in our minds that allows us to communicate and attract the situations and circumstances and knowledge and experience that we need in order to succeed. I can tell you that, like, for me to be as good at trading as I am now, and I'm definitely not the best, and I'll never ever claim to be an expert. But I can tell, looking back 3 years ago and looking where I am now, even looking 6 months ago, a lot of that has just been because I've just been here grinding this out daily, and looking for growth, looking for how can I grow off my own wins and my own losses? How can I grow from my failures? Getting a possible crossover now. This looks better for the bounce above 75 than the previous one did, because the 26 is significantly lower. This looks really good, actually, for a long. I might look for an entry off of 72.5. If we pull back that far, coming up 74, we're gonna want to see that 912 crossover that I mentioned. Although with the upward slope of the moving averages, as well as the 26 approaching so far down below the 35, as well as the TTM switching to yellow, this looks less like we need to wait for that confirmation and like we can move forward. I'm gonna try and get an entry off of 73.25, which would be a pretty heavy drop down, but I don't think it's impossible. I'm going to revise my entry. There's that 912 cross that we were seeking. I'm going to revise my entry to be at 73, actually 74. And I'm going to look to get out at 77. And then I'm going to move up to 74.50. Just going to join the bid and try and get in anywhere, because I think that this is going to rip, and I think it's going to rip pretty heavily. I want to look to get out at like 78. I think this is going to be a pretty decent sized rip inbound. We may get some pullbacks to the 50 here. Our entry is 75.25, so we're just slightly above that. We got a cyan switch. We got the 912 crossover. We're just gonna wait now for the 9 and 12 to cross above the 35, and that should give us our next confirmation of moves here. So you were asking about what moving averages I use. This is the moving averages I use, and as I use them, you can hear how I'm using them and why I'm using them. Just 1 second. Moving kind of a lot of stuff today. Like I said, I hope I'm not getting sick. I was sick for like months earlier in like at the end of the year. It was really awful. I really hope I don't have to deal with that again. So the one thing that gives me less confidence about this breaking like highs or anything like that, is that the 200 moving average has been approaching the 50 for a while now. So what I'm waiting for next to happen is I'm waiting for this 9 and 12 to cross above this EMA 35. You can see that 9 is already doing it on the current candle. And I also want to see him cross above the 50. What that's doing is that's giving us more confirmation that we're going to see a continued upward move before we see the fall down. And so I really want to see both of these moving averages. The 9 and 12, I want to see them get above the 35 and the 50. I also actually want to see the 35 work its way to get back above the 50 as well. That will also give us further indication of continued upward movement. TTM going from 0.4 to 0.7 to now 1.4. So that's also a good indicator of upward momentum. New candle now. 9 is clearly above 50 and 35. 12 is above 35 and on 50. 35 is approaching a move above 50 as well. Getting a pullback now. So a little mild rejection there. Pretty heavy rejection there, actually. Hold up to 76.5 and then kind of rejected at that point. A lot of buys coming in though. 9's above 50. 12 is above 35. I have to see what the next candle brings. I'm going to stay in this trade though. I absolutely could have got a better entry though. Once again. Or I could have taken profit already. But I was going for the swing, so 1.3 to 1.6 to 1.9. So 0.7 to 1.3 to 1.5 to 1.9. So moving to 0.4, it's still not bad. As long as it's like 0.4 or higher. Once it's at like 0.3, it starts feeling like not enough momentum. Got a little flag there. 9 has really good divergence from the 12. 9 and 12 are both above 50. We need to see the 35 get above the 50 in order to really confirm this breakout. 35 and 50 are one tick away from each other. Momentum from 1.5 to 1.9 to 2.0. We're flattening a little bit. $75, very much acting as both support and resistance. The 50 EMA is at 74.36, and the 35 EMA is at 74.26. So they're literally 10 cents away from the 35 crossing above the 50. I want to see that for that continued confirmation. 1.9 to 2.1 to 2.1, so kind of flattening out. May end up reducing my sell order, but I think that this might end up doing what it did earlier when I was calling for 82, where it did run up past 82 Stopped out at like 82 and a half. 2.1 to 2.2. 5 seconds or so left in this candle. 35 still didn't cross. 35 is at 48 and the 50 is at 51. So they're about 3 cents apart. TTM going from 2.1 to 2.4 to 2.7. So getting some more upward momentum. I could take profits here. I might do it just because I'm impatient. And we have a double top there at 77. A lot of buy volume coming in. You can see on the Bulls Bears. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to take the profit. Wow, that's quite the drop. Wow, really? Trying to exit at 76 now, which obviously I could have done several times over. Up 900 on the day. I think that trade was okay. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was great either. And really, I think it's just because a lot of the sideways action, a lot of the sideways grinding on the day. Take this off of 0.6. So we'll see if we actually get that rip up that I was talking about here. There's a move up to 77. 78 was our original exit point. TTM going from 2.3 to 2.5 to 2.9 to 3.0. Here we are at the top of the hour. So I'm kind of glad because we're at the top of the hour. So I'm kind of glad that I actually cut it for that reason. Just because I don't really like being in trades on the half hours and the top of the hours, because a lot of the times that's when we see big volume spikes that can make it go in either direction. Just gonna check in on the comments. It's been a while since I checked in. Don't want it to be another short here for the big drop. Let's see. Shorts could get squeezed. That's what I was thinking too, is that shorts would get squeezed there. Do I continue trying after 5 years? Do I stop? Admit failure, even though I've tried harder and gave up way more for this than anything. What to do? Tiny, I'm going to put this up on the screen here because I think this is a really important point to talk about. Everybody's on their own journey. That's number one. And it's not to say that, like, I think that everybody is going to go at their own pace. I also believe that your optimism, Tiny, I've actually seen more growth from you in the last 6 months than I did prior the years knowing you. And I say that because, like, I'm seeing you paint more greens on the day. I'm seeing you put up more. I think, in my own personal opinion, better reflections. Your self-awareness has gone up. I've watched your self-awareness change pretty substantially just since July. And I think that what you bring to the table has a lot to do with number one, I think you bring a lot of optimism and encouragement to the community. Number two, though, I also believe that your journey and everything that led up to where you're at right now, I think that over the next year or less, you may start to see more consistent improvements. And I think that um, if you can make your system be like your trading strategy be as systematic as it possibly can, that doesn't mean no emotion. Okay, the no emotion thing is a lie, and I think that that is something that is taught to traders, and I think that that being taught to traders is dangerous because I think that it creates an unhealthy style of stoicism, which is more like bottling up your emotions as opposed to understanding that you're having an emotion and being self-aware enough to edit yourself by knowing yourself. Um, that's different. It's far more intentional. Uh, but in any case, Tiny, as far as giving up or continuing to go on, only you have the capability of answering that question. But I sense that you're near a breakthrough. And I sense that a lot of that breakthrough is actually going to be less about your trading and more about you as a person. And through changing yourself as a person and having that breakthrough as a person, your trading will go along with it. Remember that breakdowns create breakthroughs. And so, if you're at that point where you're like, should I even continue doing this? That's to me, that's typically for the way I see it, a lot of times that's like my faith and my determination being tested on the particular thing that I have stated that I wanted. And so I guess for me it's just it's an opportunity to refresh, recalibrate, realign, and get back in the game. That's what that is for me. I can't tell you whether or not you should quit or keep going, but if you want to keep going, you've got a community here that loves and supports you and will continue to elevate you and lift you up and encourage you. I like the idea of we'll believe in you long enough until you believe in yourself. TTM pulling back some 2.6 to 2.2 down to 2.1, waiting for this 50 we got that 35 crossing above the 50, but I want to see this 50 and this 35 kind of diverge from each other. Popping up off 75 up to 77, that would have been a nice little trade there. Okay, this actually is looking like that we're going to get this breakout now. We're breaking above that resistance zone. Moving averages are showing us continued divergence from the 35. You can see that the 35, the 50, and the 26 are all still moving in the upward direction. And we kind of want them to, we want the 35, 26, and 50 to kind of level off slightly while the 9 and 12 continue to push up. Let's see if I can find an example of that. It would be like this. Right here, where you can see that the 9, 12 are moving in an almost vertical fashion, whereas the 26, 35, and 50 are moving up, but they're moving up at an upward slant as opposed to a practical vertical. And so we want to see that kind of divergence in order to really gauge that momentum breakout. Ended up with a downward doji up there on that rip. Up 900 on the day out of our goal of 1500. I don't know if we're going to hit the full 15, but 900 ain't bad. Yeah, I've taken breaks from trading myself. honestly. Like, I took like a 4-month break once. Um, I think it's healthy, honestly. Mm. Try to unlearn bad stuff. It makes me think of that Eminem line. No wonder I had to unlearn everything my brain was taught. It's true. Like, unlearning is its own process, by the way. Like, we're taught a bunch of stuff growing up. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. A lot of it's typically bad. And then there's sort of like this like self-awareness and awakeness that happens as we begin to evolve and become more self-aware and self and conscious of our own being. And in that process, we start to recognize patterns of behavior that existed from our caretakers, and we're like, yo, I don't want to be that. Like, I grew up and swore that I would never be that person or this person. Swore that I would never do that thing that this caretaker of mine did. Now here I am, 30 years later, 50 years later, whatever, performing the same actions or dealing with the same limitations that they dealt with. And you're like, why? It's because that stuff implants software code into your brain, and it's your responsibility as a person to become self-aware enough to be able to be like, okay, what actions am I taking and why? What is the intention behind those actions, or the motivation, or the limitation, or the emotional act that is happening that is driving me to take those actions? And do I like what I see? If the answer is no, then it's time for some reflection, and it's time for some editing of your own software, editing of your own code. Find the way to do that has a lot to do with finding the root of the problem, which means identifying the behavior of the caretaker that taught you that behavior yourself, or was it a behavior that you yourself created? Ask yourself that question, and based off what your answers are, will determine how you approach that change. If the answer is, turns out that it was my caretaker 35 years ago that took this action on a very consistent basis that created this indelible mark in my brain that now drove 35 years of behavior. If that ends up being the case, then it's like, then the approach becomes, okay, I recognize that that was that person, and that was that person's behavior, that was that person's idea and ideology. And because it's that person, I can create my own ideology. Finally got a breakout here. Broke above 77. Now we're pushing up towards 80. I guess there was the opportunity there to get that full 600. The other side of that is that if that behavior was one that we created ourselves, that wasn't necessarily implanted as software code into us by a caretaker that taught us this behavior when we were young and impressionable, um, then the approach becomes more of a willpower change. It's more of like a habit replacement or habit stacking, or habit change, because a lot of that stuff, the behaviors that we ourselves have created, oftentimes are rooted in some form of either unconscious behavior or some level of addiction in some capacity. Now, remember that you could be addicted to anything. You could be addicted to trading, you know, and that comes from humans' just level of obsessiveness. Honestly, at least that's been my experience in life. Coming up, hitting resistance here at 80 along 79 area. May look for a little micro scalp. And so if that's the case, we either need to look to replace those behaviors, or and replacing is sort of the easy route, or we have to create concentrated power of will and eliminate the behavior. Replacing, I think, is the easier route. So, for example, like, if you wanted to, I mean, I don't know anybody who smokes anymore, but if you wanted to quit smoking, and you're like, how do I quit smoking? We have to like replace it with a different behavior. So smoking is typically like a type of behavior, like where you're doing it in this sort of like fashion that's like 15 minutes on the hour or something like that. So you're gonna need something to like fidget with a lot of the time. Or if it's something like watching TV for hours on end, then that'd be like replacing it with gym. So you're trying to match more or less the same type of habit, like how you engage with that habit. You're trying to replace it with a healthier habit. That would be habit replacement based off of typically off of patterns of behavior that you yourself created. But when it's habits of behavior that were implanted via your brain software through a caretaker or a trusted person in your life, then the approach to that is slightly different. The approach to that is typically like, that was them, that was their behavior. I intend not to be this way. But now you have to do therapy of your own personal therapy. You don't have to go see somebody necessarily, but you can do your own therapy within your own mind and ask yourself, what in my life have I like created that I might have messed up based on a result of what somebody else taught me? Why was I trained this thing? And then you have anger, you have to deal with that. You have to go through like, okay, now I need to like let go of that, realize that was them, that was their issues, that was their problems. I'm a different person, so I'm going to be a different person. So anyway, enough with brain hacking, psychology hacking. Back to trading. But here is a hack to that, Tiny. So creating new pathways is challenging. However, if you get in the habit of creating new pathways, then creating new pathways is way easier. This is an interesting thing, a little hack to this. I've actually found that the more consistently that I create new pathways, the easier it is to create new pathways. We're getting a just rip after rip here. I'm gonna look for an entry off of 81. Entered off 81. I'm looking to get out of 81. Or sorry, entered at 80.75. I'm looking to get out of 81.25. Getting some pullback on that. Makes sense. I didn't actually really love that trade. And I just took it just because it kept popping up. It's not a good way to trade. Currently at a 1-to-1. I'm going to cut that. I don't like that. Just waiting for it to let me out of this trade. Come on. So it let me out about 45 seconds after I hit close, which resulted in a larger loss than when I actually hit close, bringing me down to 712.50 on the day. I think I'm probably going to be done for the day there. I'm going to just call it. We're profitable on the day. Want to say thank you to everybody who showed up here today. And I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. Please consider liking and subscribing. It does actually help the channel quite a bit. On top of that, guys, if you would like to earn funding in the futures market, use the link in the description and check out Elite Trader Funding. Elite Trader Funding is awesome. Personally, in my opinion, if you want to know how to get access to $50,000 or $300,000 for a hell of a lot less than having that money in your own account, you can check out Elite Trader Funding. Use a prop firm and trade using their money. Personally, I think this is the best way to do it. In exchange for them funding you, they take a small percentage of the profits. I think it's totally reasonable. I like that they take 80-20 versus some other places take 90-10. The reason why I like that is because that means that they're going to have enough operating capital to keep improving. They're going to have enough operating capital to provide customer support, to keep growing, expanding, and making their platforms better. That's what I really like about them. On top of that, guys, they are one of the only platforms I've seen with a Discord community. So you guys are going to want to check them out. Their Discord community is really helpful in terms of like answering questions. They do provide support through Discord as well as through their site as straight up. They're very fast in their responses, and you get a response from a human, not an AI, not a random blog article to go and read about and whatnot. They do have a wide variety of plans. They got the one-step evaluations, fast-track evaluations. Personally, I'm working on a 50K one-step and a 100K static evaluation. A lot of people like the statics because they're just so straightforward. And then there is the end of the day, which you'll find at most prop firms. And then the diamond hands, which is a rare one that I've not seen anywhere. This one is very unique to Elite Trader Funding. And this allows you to hold positions overnights and weekends. So if that fits your strategy, then go ahead and check these guys out. Link in the description. Promo code is JSBest. You guys will lock in a lifetime discount. And so, yeah, guys. Just going to check up on a little bit of these comments here, since I didn't get a chance to read through all of them. Nowadays, it's all me, myself, and I that discusses problems. Yeah, well, you got to be your own best friend. I can see why I do a motivational teaching. I actually, so Tiny, this right here. So I actually wanted to get back into this. I used to do this. For those of you guys don't know, I used to train people a lot. Like I used to work with a lot of entrepreneurs, do like coaching, stuff like that. I'd speak on stages and teach people a lot about psychology and just understanding themselves and just how they can get better at whatever it is they're trying to do. And some of it was motivational as well. And so I was actually considering making some content like that. Let me know if you guys would like to see that on videos. I have some really old stuff that I'm not going to publish. This is like kind of embarrassing at this point. The quality of the video is so bad. But I'd be happy to make some new stuff as well and post that. So let me know if that's something you guys would like to see on the channel. Creating new pathways. Yeah, we talked about that. All right. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Thank you guys so much for being here. Much love and appreciation. Check out the links in the disco. Join our Discord group. We'll see you there. I'm about to post my reflection and my results on the day in there. And yeah, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Remember, guys, same bat time, same bat channel. It's 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern time. That's when we start this thing. We'll see you there. All right. Peace out, y'all.